What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video. A little late today on a Wednesday. I had some technical difficulty issues earlier in the day, but we are here with a beauty. So what I have for you today is something that I've been working on stream for a little while. It is this two-color Hapatra Vizier of Poisons deck. Now, what this deck is trying to do is a few things. So we're going to start with the Lords. We're going to start with Nest of Scarabs, 4 Nest of Scarabs, and 4 Hapatras. So the reason that I think this deck has a chance to be very good in the meta is that two of the things that are running wild right now, zombies and green-black, don't really have answers just for you clogging up the board. Zombies can give menace, and green-black like sometimes can make a huge walking ballista. But outside of those times, if you're able to make like a board of 10, 15 tokens by turn 6 or 7, it's going to be very, very hard for them to deal with you. And so not only are we creating these tokens, but of course we're also creating huge creatures with menace or afflict, and we have the ability to give them trample to get over them in the long run. So what we're going to do is this deck is kind of broken down into two sections. The payoff cards, the -1/-1 counter matters cards, and everything that's going to die. So we're going to kind of break that down for you here. So for payoff cards, right, reasons to play this deck, we have Nest of Scarabs, 3 mana enchantment. Whenever you put a -1/-1 counter on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insects and Hapatra. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put -1/-1 counters on things, make snakes, you know, make insects, and then appeal to authority, give it a huge bonus, and kill them. Sometimes you just make so many creatures that you're just able to attack with your creatures as well. Usually the red matchup is just won by racing with your 1/1s, not racing with your giant tramplers, although that obviously helps too. So now we want to put all the -1/-1 counters matters cards here, and this is going to be all of them. The Exemplars, the Initiates, the Omniternals, the Plague Belchers, and the Crocodiles. So after you have these, all you have to think is, okay, I have all my -1/-1 counters cards, I have all my payoffs. What am I putting the -1/-1 counters on? So that's why we have this 1-drop suite, right? We have the Blister Pods, because you get to sacrifice it twice. So a plan like turn 1 Blister Pod, turn 2 attack, Exemplar of Strength, make 5 power for 3 mana on turn 2 is pretty good, right? We also have the plan of Festering Mummy in case we got to kill their Crypt Breakers or we got to kill any of their 1/1s. And we have the 3 Dread Wanderers as well, mostly because these come back. And so this is kind of what we have to work with, right? Once you have a Nest of Scarabs or a Hapatra going, you can also put counters on the tokens to make even more tokens, right? Like if you have a Nest of Scarabs going, you can Chandler Initiate, put 3 counters on 1 token, then make 3 tokens, so you're netting 2 tokens and a 3/4 for 2 mana. You're basically making a 5/6 for 2 mana at that point, which is pretty sweet. Where all the value comes in this deck isn't really the super aggro starts, because there are a lot of decks in the format, you know, like Blood Rage Brawler is a 4/3 for 2. You can easily go like a 2/1 or a 1/2 into Blood Rage Brawler and have the same power and toughness on turn 2 that we do without having to jump through a lot of the -1/-1 hoops. And so the advantage to this deck is once you have a Nest of Scarabs out and you play something like a Exemplar of Strength on turn 4. Let's say you play a Dread Wanderer, you play a Channel Initiate, you play a Nest of Scarabs, and then on turn 4 you play Exemplar, Channeler, or something. All of a sudden, for like 4 mana basically, you're creating 7 power in those creatures, right? And then you're creating 7 other power. You're creating like 14 power on turn 4 or something. I mean, it is absurd the amount of things you can do here. And it's just really hard for a lot of decks to deal with that. Against green-black, you just chump all their Long Tusk Cubs while attacking back. If the board ever stalls, you have 1,000,000 Death Touch tokens from Hapatra, or you're able to appeal to authority for the win. So I really like this deck. The sideboard kind of goes into that further. Like the sideboard's split into three categories basically. We need to be good in the mono red matchup, so we have the Obelisk Spiders, the Collective Brutalities, and the Grind-a-Dusts. Now we have 3 Concealed Courtyards. We're not often, you know, doing the dust thing, but just being able to grind like their 2 X1s is pretty good in that matchup. We have the Scrap Heap Scroungers for the control matchup. We have the Dissenter's Deliverance for like Mardu and Gift of the God Pharaoh, although we can often just race Gift of the God Pharaoh, and then we have Fatal Pushes just for whatever. One of the things that's important in these types of decks is because like you basically can't cut any of these like 30 cards, right? Like you can't cut these Hapatras, Nest of Scarabs, or really any of these like -1/-1 guys. So you have to figure out, like, is it more important to have all these 1-drop creatures and be more aggressive, or is it more important to have like Fatal Pushes and play like a more mid-rangey or have answers? I'd rather just not have answers. There aren't that many decks that are killing you with evasion in the format, so having a ton of 1/1 tokens is enough answers as it is. Plus we have some Festering Mummies. I mean, those do work sometimes anyways. But yeah, so this is kind of the deck. We have the 4 Hissing Quagmires, the 4 Ifnir Dreadlands. These are just swamps. We don't really care about losing life all that often, except like occasionally in the mono red matchup. So these are just like kind of extra room for Nest of Scarabs and Hapatra, plus they do some work. Again, the 3 Concealed Courtyards are not really sacrificing a lot. We only have 20 lands. We're not getting above 3 lands often anyways. And then we have the Forest because, you know, there's not an Ifnir Dread, you know, we're not really going to play Hashep Oasis. So yeah, so this is the deck. What I've considered doing for a while is taking out this Dread Wanderer for another Festering Mummy. That might be worth it. We're going to jump into a few matches here, and we'll see what it looks like. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for round number 1.